This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. The following program has been rated G and is suitable for all audiences. With us today on The Havery Show, we have lifelong friend, music aficionado, former racquetball world champion.
I like that.
Painting specialist.
Guru.
Paint guru, Karaoke King, all-around good guy, Sebring native, Sebring ultra supporter, my friend Eddie McConahay. Eddie, it's good to see you.
Always good to see you, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Before we do anything, it's a little thing, but I need to know. My whole life I've called you Eddie.
Uh-huh.
But you are also Charles. So are you Eddie or are you Charles? Are you Charles to some and Eddie to some?
Okay, here's how it goes. And I got to back up to the very beginning because, see, that's the trouble is certain people think of it this way, certain people think of it that way. So I'm going to go to the very beginning.
Good.
I was born August 3rd, 1958 in Walker Memorial in Avon Park. They didn't have a birthing hospital in Sebring, but then I was moved straight to Sebring. I lived in Sebring all my life. My real name is Charles Edward McConahay. And as I was growing up, everybody called me Ed or Eddie. And usually around high school, it was Eddie.
Yes.
As I got older, I was hoping people get out of it. So when the computers and internet started coming around, I started doing Charles. And that threw people, but it made them think, maybe I shouldn't call him Ed. Maybe I should call him Ed or Charles. So I've done that to make them think.
Well, you definitely got me thinking about it, for sure. I always enjoyed going into Home Depot. Now, there's a lot of reasons I did not enjoy going into Home Depot. Usually because it meant I had to spend money that I didn't have.
True.
Also because it probably meant that I was working on a project that I might not have had time or energy to be doing. But one thing I always enjoyed was swinging by the paint department to saying hi. So thanks for being a cool guy at the paint department.
Oh, I appreciate that. To me, it wasn't a job. I just loved it. I've done hardware for 43 years before I retired last year. I started with a Scotty's in 1981. I've actually worked 6 different hardware stores, and my last hardware store was Home Depot, and that was almost 19 years.
Scotty's, that would have been over where the Do It Center is now by Burger King before they moved. Would that be correct?
That is my first one. I actually worked at 3 Scotty's. That was store 35.
Yeah.
Then I went to what they call Do It Center.
Yes.
I worked at that a couple of years, and that's under the Psychos. They had down that plaza and everything. And what a cool story about that, I waited on this guy that came in the muscle shirt, and it ended up being Burt Reynolds.
No kidding. And Sebring.
Yeah, he came in.
Darned.
He came in, was just looking around, and I was the one waiting on, and then I didn't even realize it. And then a coworker of mine tapped me, isn't that Burt Reynolds? I had a block. That was, I just waited on Burt Reynolds,
Well,
anyhow.
You have rubbed shoulders with a lot of famous people, and we're going to get to that because that's really a cool part of your story. I was talking to my brother Peter yesterday. I mentioned that you were going to be on the podcast. He said, that's going to be a great podcast. Like,
and hi, Pete, and hi, Vinny.
Peter remembers vividly. He was a tennis player.
Oh, yes.
And he remembers being down at Charlie Brown playing tennis. And Peter was an outstanding tennis player, but he said he could never, ever beat you at racquetball.
I was good in my younger days. I wish I could say the same now that they got pickleball. I had a horrific accident when I first retired. I tried to pick up pickleball, and I fell flat on my face. I mean, I messed myself up, something horrible. That's the end of my pickleball career.
Do you ever go out and hit against the wall for racquetball? Have you?
Once in a while I volley, but it's kind of a dead thing now.
That was a big deal back there in the late 70s, early to mid 80s. Racquetball was big in Sebring. Yeah.
And I remember because we go down there and I drive up there and remember 8-track tapes?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go there and have my doors open, be playing them 8-track tapes, and we'd be playing racquetball, and it was everybody came there and just enjoyed themselves.
That's right. Yep, that's back when Central Builders was over.
It was
over there. Yeah, that's right.
I never worked for them though.
Uh huh. Yeah. And Dave Bollinger lived over near you. Now, the house you're living in now, was that your family home?
No, it was my grandfather's, and his wife got gifted a house, and he sold it to me real cheap.
Gotcha. I could be completely off base on this because my childhood memories are very, very vague. But for some reason in the back of my mind, I remember getting dragged. I don't know if it was your house, dragged around with my mom and dad. They played pinochle with some people. Would that have been right? Tell me about your growing up situation.
It's not a good one. Okay. I was raised in a single family home by my mother.
Yeah.
My father divorced my mother when I was 5, and to come to find out, I had a brother that was 2 years younger than me.
No kidding.
So, I mean, that ended up being marriage number 2 for him. But so me and my mother pretty much toughed it on our own. So we struggled. We had a really, I had a rough childhood, but I admire my mother for how well she's, raised me as a child, growing up. And she worked at Woodline. She actually got a reputation as one of the best cooks in the county working for Woodline, and everybody remembers her laugh. I mean, you could be like 100 feet away and you hear her laugh and stuff, and people and the people I went to school with, even through high school, says, "I remember your mom's cooking" and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Nice legacy. There weren't a lot of single moms back in that day. You grew up in a single mom household. Mm-hmm. I did too. It was. I think it was harder for women back then than it is now.
Very hard, and I admired my mother for that and stuff. And what got me through it was my love of music. She actually loved country music. Mm-hmm. So basically, I got started on country, but then came the radio, and I turned to rock and roll, and I converted her. I got her into Jimmy Buffett and Bob Seger and all that stuff.
Good stuff. You were the first Captain Blue Streak.
I was the first unofficial Captain Blue Streak. See, my year, they was supposed to have a girl, and her name was Carla Redstadt. And actually, in the book I brought, shows that. And I got a picture in here, too, that shows me and her together. And I became the co-captain because everybody wanted me. They didn't want her. They wanted me, But so we decided that we just team up, and it worked.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That would have been, was that your senior year?
That was my senior year because Captain Blue Streak was, you had to be a senior.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And another thing that high school was a turning point in my life, one of my first turning points. When I was growing up, being in a single-family home, I was incredibly shy. I had friends and all that, but being social and stuff like that was really difficult for me.
Sure.
When I got into high school, I started meeting new people, and I started to become on my own. By the time I hit senior, I just changed into a different person.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, that's just it just shows how you were liked, loved, and respected. That you were able to blossom like that. That's very cool and outgoing. I mean, my goodness, Captain Blue Streak, fantastic. So. Tell me a little bit about Sebring High School in 74, 75, 76, 77-ish. It's a lot of changes have happened.
Oh, absolutely. Let me back up just a little bit, though. When I was in 6th grade, mine was in the history of Sebring was the only one to go, the whole class had to go to E.O. Douglas. We were segregated that was the only time that happened.
No kid. In 70 what?
I don't know what the
when
year
you
was.
When you were in
sixth grade.
So in 6th grade, you were bussed over to E.O. Douglas, and the people from the Washington Heights community were bussed over. So it was a crisscross. Wow. And now see, all this time I never knew that. I didn't know that it went both ways like that. So E.O. Douglas was still a functional school, an integrated school, but they had to bus white into it for the most part.
It was a very interesting year.
I would guess so. Yeah. Yeah, and probably it wasn't long after that they shut down E.O. Douglas to start turning it into the county offices, I suppose.
But it was a memory,
Yeah, for sure.
But going back to high school and stuff, by making friends and stuff, it was a brotherhood. And that's the thing I liked about brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want. I never had problems. Usually like nowadays there's like bullying and all this other stuff. Back then you didn't have that because people would stand up for you, and everybody got along. And that was the thing is, we didn't always see eye to eye with our teachers, but that's age-old thing.
Sure. Oh yeah, 100%. Tell me about some of your teachers from it doesn't have to be high school. It could be your whole school tenure. Who are some of your favorites that come to mind?
Well, I was actually into art. I actually took 4 years of art with Ron Smith.
Yeah.
He ended up being my all-state agent for many years.
Oh, no kidding.
He's retired now,
yeah.
but he used to come in the store all the time, and we'd talk and stuff. But I liked them all. And they all knew me. I knew them. Now, here's a fun fact. When I graduated, because I didn't have a car, and I just had a bicycle, Billy Kaysen actually gave me a ride home from graduation.
No kidding.
And I never forgot that.
Wow. At that point, he was the principal, or
he was the principal?
Yeah.
He was the one that was the master of ceremonies. And
yeah,
all.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. That's kind of cool to get driven home from graduation by the principal.
Yep.
That's pretty sharp.
There is one story I gotta tell because it's kind of neat. They don't have it no more. I wish they did. It's called Grad Night.
Oh yeah.
In 1977, I'm on a bus because I had never been to Disney World, and back then. Now, then it's never going to happen again. I think it was like $12, $15. You could go to Disney World.
Yeah.
And there was 3 bands there. I think it was Starbuck, Flash Cadillac, the Continental Kids, and Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh, nice.
In the peak of his career, no less.
Yeah.
And we got there, we all just sort of scattered and stuff. We had to wear these suits, a little bow tie
That's
and
right.
stuff. I remember even being stopped by Disney security because they didn't see my bow tie. But anyhow, going back, I wanted to see the Cinderella Castle, so I went there, and it was all blocked off. And me being I got to see inside the castle, so I said, okay, well, I can't go through the front. I'm going to go through the back. So I did, and it was pitch black.
No kidding.
And I said, I'm going to no matter what. So I walked in there by myself. You couldn't see nothing. And I kept going. Then all of a sudden I see guitars, drum kits, and all this stuff. And I just kept on going.
Oh, wow.
And then
You
this
were
guy
backstage.
in this white suit comes up to me and says, you're not supposed to be here, but just go over there and sit. The band's going to be out shortly and stuff. And sure enough, all of these drummers and musicians have come out. And the guy in the white suit was Casey.
No.
Yep. And now get this. All these girls, because there's different girls from all these different schools, saw me. And I almost didn't make it to the bus to get back to Sebring.
Holy moly.
One of my stories.
Wow. Wow. That is a great story.
I love it.
Man, for your first time at Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing 2 bands that would end up being really iconic. I don't know about the third one so much. I remember who they were, but they weren't at the same level. So you're at Disney. You have the whole Disney experience. You're going to get to see these bands. You decide you're going to kind of sneak into Cinderella's castle.
And I did. I did.
And you end up being backstage, and you are offered a seat by Casey. Brilliant.
And all these girls from the different schools saw it, and I'll just say I had a lot of attention.
I guess you did. They thought you were part of the entourage.
That's right.
How about that?
So that's my memory.
Dang, Eddie, you're a baller. That's fantastic. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. You're an ardent supporter of music and lover of music and an aficionado of music. When I went over to your house to do your podcast, you gave me a tour of your memorabilia and your collectibles and your autographs, and it's mind-blowing.
And I collect, you think that I paid a fortune for it, but a lot of that stuff was given to me, and I just went up to the person and they signed it and talked to them a bit, and they're just like, they're human beings. If you're nice to them, they're nice to you. It's they're just susceptible to sometimes people in a bad mood, and they're going to be in a bad mood too.
Sure, absolutely. Tell me about some of the encounters you had and some of the people that you've met that were high on your list.
Well, Boy, there's so many. But I try to keep it down. Probably the biggest would be Joe Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
What it was is ticket prices were climbing and climbing and climbing. So I find to get the best seat is to go through the artist website.
Sure.
And so I wanted to get Joe Walsh. He was playing the Hard Rock Live in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 40 people got backstage passes. I got a backstage pass.
Yeah.
So I went there, and we ended up in what they call the John Lennon room. And there's 40 people, and they had this big old L-shaped couch. And then Joe Walsh came out in these shorts and stuff. And he talked like Joe Walsh and stuff. But the observation I got immediately was nobody would talk to him.
Yeah.
I said, no, this ain't right. So I went up to him, patted him on the back, started talking to him. He instantly just, we just hit it off.
Yeah.
And he gave us these hats. And I still got, to this day, the hat he gave me. I mean, you could have bought them, but he gave us these hats, and it's a account. I remember it in his account. And he still does to this day. He does these backstage pass things.
That's cool.
And he's married to one of the Bachs, and the other Bach is married to Ringo Starr.
Yes. Ain't that something? You were 2 degrees of separation from a Beatle at that point.
At that point.
Wow. Not really 1 degree. 1 degree. 1 degree of separation from a Beatle.
There was one other I met that to me is a personal favorite, and I kind of go back, and that is Alan Parsons.
Tell me about that.
Okay, Alan did a one-time thing at Epcot, their Garden Power, or whatever it is, Garden Rocks, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get front of the line, and I had one of his albums, and I was trying to get him to sign it, and he was the first one to come up, and I asked him, he signed it. He got his band, he actually took it backstage, he got the whole band to sign it for me, got a picture with him, and to me, that was the biggest thrill of my life. I'm a fan of the Alan Parsons Project, which would be the Alan Parsons Live Project.
Yes.
And he was such a, he worked on 2 Beatle albums. He worked at Abbey Road Studios.
That's right.
He is known for his engineering techniques and formed his own supergroup.
Yep.
To me, that is a triple-decker,
100%. 100%. Very cool. And you got to meet the guy. Was he, obviously he must have been friendly. He
Very nice.
did all that stuff for you.
I actually, and it was funny too, because he became a Facebook friend, and how I knew it was him is he said, he thanked me for coming to a show.
No kidding. You're Facebook friends with Alan Parsons.
And some others too. Okay, I don't want to overload you with stories, but
That's what you're here for, man.
okay. This one's
Let me have it.
Okay. Remember old timey Sebring when they had Ben Franklin's Five and Dime?
Absolutely.
Right beside it was a thing called a head shop.
Yeah, I remember.
And I didn't go in there for the bongs or nothing like that, but they sold bootleg 8-track tapes.
Yep.
And at the time, my favorite artist was Three Dog Night.
Yes.
Well, fast forward, I made a friend who made a friend, whatever. And he set me up a friendship with this guy named Pat Bolts. Pat Bolts is a drummer for Three Dog Night.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in Lakeland, and I went up there, and he allowed me to go backstage. So I got to not just go backstage, but sit and talk with all of the members of Three Dog Night.
Wow. Now, what year roughly would that have been?
I'm trying to think. It's probably about 4... okay. At the time, Corey Wells, which was one of the original 3, and Jimmy Greenspoon, which was the original keyboard player, were alive.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they died about 2 months later, but they signed an album for me.
Fantastic.
And I have that album I have displayed proudly in my living room.
That's wonderful. And
It's a memory of a lifetime.
you were there at the college the other night to hear them again.
I did, yes.
That was a fantastic show.
It's just unfortunate that only one still, and Chuck Negron won't rejoin the band or nothing.
After so many years and so many of, the hurt feelings, at what point do you just forgive and allow yourself to the enjoyment of playing with these guys again and giving the fans what they would just love so much to have? I can't imagine. I can't imagine what would have caused that deeper hurt for him just to never, ever want to come back.
And it was recently I saw on a Facebook post that Elton John apologized to Madonna because he kind of cut her down in the past, and because of her artistry and stuff, and they finally made up and made amends. So anything's possible.
Yeah. Now the guy I can't remember his name, but the guy in the middle, the long-haired guy, he kind of did a monologue in the middle. Wow, he was a ball of energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and those guys, they still got it. I got to tip my hat to them at their age, going out there and doing this night after night after night after night. It was impressive.
Now, they got a new album out. Now, the guy in the middle, he's the newer member, and he's 77 years old. I'm
Imagine
66.
that.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah. Wow. I got to see them at the college the last time they were here, and I think that was the last show at the college before they shut it down for the repairs, if I'm not mistaken.
And Corey was still alive.
That's right.
And Pat was actually the drummer.
That's right. And the guitar player was still there. I can't think of his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mike Aslip.
Yes. He was still there.
Here's a story. And he told me this himself. When I went backstage, me and him were sitting at the bar and stuff, and he told me that he tricked, because they were popular back in the 60s, he tricked Jimi Hendrix to play backup guitar for him.
Really?
He was proud of that. He was totally proud of it. I just blew my mind, and he told me that he personally told me this.
Did he tell you how, or did he tell you
He
any?
didn't go into a
didn't
lot
go
of
into
detail, but we just had a nice, friendly conversation, and it just came out in the talk.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I saw them in, I think it was Lakeland Civic Center, probably around '87, with John Sebastian and I believe America. They were all out.
Oh yes,
That was a cool show. Yeah. You've been, how many, you probably don't have a hard number, but do you have any idea how many concerts you've been to?
I've been a late bloomer. That's the thing is that, even though I saw KC back in the 70s, I didn't really get to go to many concerts because I just couldn't afford them. Till probably I started doing my work in the hardware stores. So probably a couple hundred.
Couple hundred.
Uh-huh.
After KC, what was your first? That was grad night. So you were going to go to grad night anyway. So what was the first concert that you said, I got to go to this? I'm gonna pay the money. I'm gonna do it, whatever it is. Do you remember your first one?
Well, I'm not sure about my first, but the one I really wanted to see because I was a big Paul McCartney fan.
Oh yeah.
And even though I could have bought tickets, I won them through Q105 and stuff. I won 2 tickets, so I took my mother. My mother suffered a lot when she, to go through a lot. So I took her to a lot of the shows while she was alive.
Yeah.
I ended up kind of being her caregiver, but while she could, I took her to a lot of concerts, and I took her to see Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr.
Oh, yeah.
She loved it. She ate it up. She liked Bob Seger and Jimmy Buffett. And
Yeah. You see Seeger live?
Absolutely.
You saw Buffett live?
Many a times.
Holy moly. The McCartney show, would that have been around 89, 90?
It's a little later. It was actually 2002 and
okay.
then 2005.
Gotcha. I saw Flowers in the Dirt.
Wow.
That one, I think at Tampa Stadium, and then again at the Orange Bowl, maybe. That was a good one.
The one I was disappointed. I couldn't. I didn't have a car, but I was sold my soul to the devil for it. But is to see in 1976 the Wings Over America in Atlanta, Georgia.
Could you that? Oh, that might be probably a top 3 concert for me too.
Absolutely.
Number 1 would have to be the Beatles at Shea Stadium.
Oh yes.
But yeah, they were. I have that double album, the Wings Over America double album, and the movie Rock Show is the companion video to that. Wow, what great stuff!
And the weird thing is he married a woman that lives in Ocala, Florida.
Really?
Yeah, Nancy Savelle or whatever.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Yeah, she's got a house in Ocala just like John Travolta and all that. Mm-hmm. Who I wrote, he actually sent me back an autograph picture.
Travolta?
Yeah.
No kidding. You just sent him a letter and he just sent
it's
back.
called TTM through the mail. There's a lot of ways I got stuff for practically nothing. A lot of time. Other story.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about music, in the early days of the computer, they had a thing called Sims, where you could be a avatar,
Yeah, sure.
and you would interact in like a cartoon world, and you would interact with other avatars, which are real people.
That's right.
Well, they had one called Worlds, and they were music worlds, and one was Aerosmith World.
I remember that.
And I was in that, and
No
the members that Aerosmith would occasionally go in, and you get to talk to like Joe Perry or Steven Tyler or whatever. But I met this girl, and she's a songwriter out of Ottawa, Canada, and she worked with Something Cola, and she's a songwriter. She introduced me to Tommy Thayer, and Tommy Thayer gave me his address, and we used to talk on Yahoo Messenger all the time, just when he joined KISS in 2000.
Wow.
And me and him just like we talked on Facebook and stuff.
That's incredible. You brought up Sims. Do you know that it's either happening now or it's in the works that you create an avatar?
Mm-hmm.
The avatar lives in that virtual environment.
Uh-huh.
Now your avatars can create their own avatars inside their own virtual environment.
Oh my.
Which means that the avatars you create their own avatars, which means their avatars, which means if you go on a backwards progression, we could be avatars.
That's interesting. Have little avatar kids and grandkids.
Who knows? I've seen some interesting theories that we could be living in a simulation right now. This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Another story from that is that I met Steven Tyler's niece, and now this is weird because I was doing karaoke, and when I was at Scotty's, I did a mixed CD, and I had this guy I worked with was a disc jockey out of Philadelphia, a friend of mine, and he mixed it, made me a CD, and it came out pretty good. And anyhow, I met Steven Tyler's niece online, and I was trying to get his autograph. She says, "No, I can't do it."
Wait a minute. Hold it. You just jumped over this whole important part.
Oh.
How do you end up meeting Steven Tyler's niece online? How does that even happen?
Because she was on World. She was part of
the Sims.
And I got introduced because this woman that her name's Brenda Smith, and she was one of these that was going with she was hanging out with rock stars, like the drummer for Motley Crue, and she knew Tommy Thayer and some other people and stuff, Kid Rock.
Because you had an avatar in Sims, your avatar met his niece, and you became friends, and because your avatars made friends.
Yep. Now get this. Come to find out, she lived in Tampa, Florida at the time.
No way.
And like I was saying, that I was trying to get an autograph, but she said she couldn't do that, but she would send me something. I says, "Oh, okay." And I gave her my address and stuff. And I got this package in the mail. And there's two things in the package. Was this beat up ball cap, which come to find out, and she wrote me a letter, and it was Steven Tyler's fishing hat. What he does when he goes fishing, he balls his hair up under this cap, and nobody recognizes him.
Wow.
And so it's a little messy. So it's got his DNA in it. I didn't touch it. But that's Steven Tyler's personal fishing hat that he had back in the day. And the letter said that he'd want me to have it. And there was another thing. It was about the size of an album that it's from a record company from 9 Lives.
Yeah.
It had the autograph of all 5 members of Aerosmith.
You got autographs of all 5 members. You got Steven Tyler's personal fishing cap, all because your avatar made friends with his niece.
Yep.
The truth is stranger than fiction. You can't make this stuff up.
Nope.
It's amazing.
But these are the many stories, and this is the thrill of just the love of music and getting out there. And, I didn't anticipate any of this stuff happening, but it did.
Yeah, amazing. And you've been a great supporter of local music, and I've got so much content online because of you. I've got hours of footage online for my band and me personally because you show up at the shows with the camera and you post it. And this is stuff that would have been completely erased from time It would have been forgotten had you not been there with the camera and been generous enough to give your time to do that. And I'm grateful to you for that. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I thank you, too, because you made a dream of mine come true. When you called me and said that you needed a guy to shoot your 40th anniversary concert, my dream was to do a concert film.
No kidding.
I didn't tell anybody, and I had me a brand new camera.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I was ready to go. I mean, it was like a 2-hour film with a great band, great singer. And it was, I mean, it's just a dream come true. And it came out great.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. It's been months now since we had that concert, and I have not had 10 minutes to start looking at it and editing it. And I'm chomping at the bit to start working on that film. And I just haven't had time. And it's driving me crazy, but I'm going to get to it.
That's something that your fans, and I actually would like to get a copy once it's, edited.
Oh, yeah.
Down
You'll literally be the first one that gets a copy handed to you. Literally.
Because I want to see on there, it says a concert film by Ed McConahay or something.
It absolutely will have your credit on it. 100%.
Cool.
Guaranteed.
Cool.
Yeah, with gratitude. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. You were on TV the other night.
Oh, yes, the Home Depot thing. Oh, okay. We'll go to the present. Yes. I've had a YouTube channel for about 21 years, and it started out as a video scrapbook, and it just grew and grew and grew. I didn't really have a niche, but then I sort of evened it down to local travel, Central Florida, and entertainment, because I like music. So I incorporated local travel and music into one little thing, and I'm taking off. I'm seen in 21 different countries now.
21.
21.
That is amazing, Eddie. From just posting simple videos.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're 21 different countries.
And I can't believe it because it changes. I was seen in Russia, Philippines. I mean, countries I can't even pronounce.
That's amazing.
It's this. I have to. It's one of those pinch yourself moments.
Yeah. Could you have imagined when you're uploading that first video to YouTube that this kind of thing could have happened? Could you have even dreamed it?
It was just because I like scrapbooks. That's always been my thing. In fact, at my house I got an encyclopedia of scrapbooks of music memorabilia, like set list and things about reviews of the shows and concert tickets, which you can't even get anymore. They're all electronic now.
That's
the old style concert tickets.
Wow, what a cool thing!
It's a memory.
It really is. So HGTV.
Okay, get back to that.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, I love Sebring. First of all, I was raised here. I never left. And being retired and being a YouTuber, I knew that I would be an influencer, so I wanted to give back. And by giving back, HDTV was the first step. I went up to the circle a lot, and I was filming them, and taking pictures and stuff of them doing their stuff. I became friends with the production crew.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyhow, the radio station had the things like, well, you got any memorabilia from the old days? So I had some pictures. And I had a picture I took in the 70s of Sparks Disco and the Cat House.
That's right.
And an early picture of the Salvation Army.
Yep.
And I gave it, went uptown and I gave it to Monty, which is the main woman for the production team.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we got to be best of buddies and stuff. And then I made friends with Andrew, and I made friends with Brian.
Yeah.
He's the one that actually did my interview. We did an interview right beside the Circle Theater at that little pavilion, and I had a full production crew. I mean, it was like, I felt like I was the president with all these cameras and stuff on me, but they was asking me different questions for about an hour. And then when HDTV finally hit, it's like 30 seconds. There we go. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey man, most people only get 15 seconds of fame. You got 30. So that's pretty sharp. What do you think overall about the whole HGTV experience, and what do you think about downtown? What do you think overall? Is it a positive thing?
This town needed a shot in the arm, that's for sure. But the trouble is like Ben and Aaron would agree on this, is that they just handed us the torch. We need to do more repairs.
Absolutely.
We need to get more businesses involved.
Yes.
I'm an advocate for like building like a restroom where the people that do come out there have a place to, for that. And I would think around the circle area have free Wi-Fi that has our advertising in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because this way they want to stay at the circle longer because they can be on a laptop, their kids can play.
Yep.
Then they have restaurants to eat at, and then maybe have more entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They could be like a bowling alley or something.
I mean, really, and we need that. We need retail down there too.
Yes,
because you can pick out a nice restaurant to eat in, but when you're done, you can't go into another nice restaurant and eat again and again and again. Well, there needs to be something to hold them there longer so that they can get their appetite back and go to another one. But we definitely need retail.
Now the Circle Theater is doing great because they're starting to have concerts.
Yes, they are.
And I do greatly appreciate that you and also the California Toe Jam Band do perform there, and that's a draw in itself. But have other artists come there, and I'd like to see like a bowling alley, like the Circle Bank that's kind of halfway down the road.
Yes.
That'd be a great bowling alley.
Oh yeah, it would. A great entertainment facility.
Yes.
Yes, 100%. You know what I'm dying for is a true, really nice skating rink. And we've had some skating rinks over the years. The Loop was a nice one. That was a good one. You remember the Loop?
Yes, and I also remember when I was a kid, they had portable skating rinks, and there was one right outside my bedroom window, and late at night, they'd be playing loud music.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going to sleep with Kung Fu Fighting.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot. They played that thing to death.
Was that the one that would have been over by the Phillips 66 station?
No, it was actually behind the Thriftway area. They
Okay,
had a plot of land there,
Yes.
and all these people would come because they move it around.
Yes.
But it was closest to my bedroom, and they blast music late in the night. And
Okay. So, the Thriftway Plaza, there's the road that goes to Woodlawn,
Glenwood.
and there was the car wash. Car wash is gone. And for some reason, I remember it being right around there near that. So where was your house?
It was actually on a corner. It's no longer there because we rented a lot, and those houses just didn't hold up.
Would it have been going towards Woodlawn? Would have been it would have been on the left hand side.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing.
My bedroom was the closest to the rink.
I'll be darned. Yeah, it was like a tent.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just a big tent with a floor, a rink floor?
But it was cool. It was just cool.
100%.
And I also remember as a kid going downtown, going to, I think they had two different movie theaters. One was close to the police station now.
That's right.
And then the Circle Theater was a movie theater at one time.
That's right. Yeah, it was for a long time. And then, of course, Sparks Disco.
And I knew Dale personally. Me and him have been friends for forever.
Yeah.
It just, he kind of got into the wrong crowd.
Sure. And Danny Poole, who did the Oz mural, he was one of Sebring, Highlands County's best artists. He was extremely gifted guy. I don't know whatever happened to him either. I used to see him all around, and then all of a sudden he was just gone. So I don't know what happened to Danny.
Actually, I talked to Frankie, the one that did the one for the TV show.
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy.
He says there's going to be some kind of mural event, and he invited me to it.
No kidding.
So I might be filming that.
Cool. Frankie's a good guy.
He's a real nice guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah. So, have you had a chance to go to Gavigan's, to 301? I mean, have you got a chance to visit these places and check out their fairs?
This is my more current project right now. Is not only the HDTV did great, but there's a lot of people that got kind of lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And Gavigan's was the first one. The reason why, because I talked to Mark, a good friend of mine. He said that they were not completed at the time the show was wrapping up.
That's right.
So they really couldn't, show that.
Right.
So I went in and I actually got a couple videos and it came out really well.
Yeah.
Now I'm presently working on Peru Fresh, and I did one for Signature Design.
Oh, perfect. So you're doing commercials for them in a public interest, not a commercial sense, but a public interest sense.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Are you going to try to hit most of the businesses?
No, I don't do. I'm doing the ones that HGTV kind of ignored.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
and I'm also hitting the mall because the mall is like a dead zone, and I'm trying to help that because there's a lady that's a hairdresser who's from Jamaica.
Yeah.
I actually did a show for her this morning and stuff, and she gets a little nervous. She don't know how to talk to a camera or
Yeah.
And I'm getting these people where I can hand them a torch because I did that with Bearwood Market. I mean, this lady, she was afraid of a camera. Now every week she's posting something, and I'm just so proud of her.
Is that Mrs. Young?
Yes.
Yes. What a sweet lady.
She is, and I helped build up her confidence.
Yeah. And her husband Steve is an icon coach, legendary basketball coach. What a beautiful couple they are. Got 2 great daughters. Yeah. I appreciate what you're doing for downtown.
Well, I'm trying. And like I say, as a citizen and loving Sebring, it's the least I could do,
Yeah. Tell me about just some childhood memories. Back 5th, 6th grade, just anything that comes to mind at all.
Well, a lot of the people that got really successful were people as a kid that I hung out with. We'd ride around on bikes and we'd play, and we knew each other. And mostly there was a lot of girls in my neighborhood, so I hung out mainly with them, like Joy Wooden,
Yeah.
and like them, and it was just a fun time, and they went one way and I went the other.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get Joy to be on the podcast.
That would be good. She's a sweetheart.
She is a sweetheart. So far, she hasn't said yes. I think I have to twist her arm a little bit harder. We'll see.
In this book here, too, is another story.
Tell me.
Okay. As senior in high school, I had a crush on the head cheerleader. She liked me and I liked her, but we were like miles apart. I didn't have a pot to, but her dad was like a big name insurance agent and stuff. And I wanted to impress her, so I went out for varsity football.
Aha.
Well, I was terrible. I maybe made a couple practices and that ended my career. But what did happen, and I got in this book here, is there was this one guy who did really well. His name was Ronnie Leppett.
Oh, yes.
And I played football with him.
Yes. You played football with a NFL veteran.
Yep, and he's actually in my annual that I brought in.
I'll be darned.
And what was funny, too, because like when I was working in different hardware stores, he'd come in every so often and say, "Hey, Ed, how's it going?"
Mm-hmm.
And, just regular person,
I wonder if he still comes around anymore.
I'm sure he does. He's a family-oriented guy,
Yeah, he. I remember, I don't know, 86, 87 around there when he made it to the Patriots.
Yeah.
And he became Ronnie Leppett.
I remember that, but I would never, ever in my life ask him that. That's his personal choice.
Sure.
But then again, Ed and Eddie,
Yeah, that's right. He had a good career.
Yes, he did. I'm personally proud that he went on to, just like another guy that I went to school with was a bodyguard for Ronald Reagan.
Well, are we talking about my brother?
Maybe.
Well, you would know if it was my brother.
No, it wasn't your brother. Okay. It was a guy I went to school with, but he was a bodyguard for Ronald Reagan.
I'll be darned. And who was that?
I can't think of his name for nothing now, but I remember what he done and stuff.
Vinny wasn't a bodyguard, but he rode Marine One, so he was on the helicopter with Reagan for a very short time. He was with Carter before that, but yeah, he was HM1, HMX1. I can't remember now, but he was in the security detail. His wife too. They were the only husband and wife pair that were on the same detail at presidential security for Air Force. It was Marine One. Marine One, yeah.
And just to think, just from our little school
Exactly.
in the middle of nowhere that nobody, because you go to Orlando and mention Sebring, and they say, well, where is that? Now they won't, but and if we keep working at it, they say, oh wow, I would love to go there.
Oh yeah,
that's what we're gonna try to do is make them want to come here. Kind of bring it back.
I think what we want to do. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I think we want them to come and visit and spend money and have a wonderful time and then get the heck out of here. I don't know that we want a whole lot of people moving in And I could be wrong on that, but growth in a town our size can be a scary thing if it's not managed really, really well, because we don't want to become Brandon. We don't want to become bumper to bumper and 30 minutes to get from the Circle to Walmart. That could be scary.
Trouble is happening. My brother. Here's another. This is another thing too. Is since I got a brother out of the second marriage, he's only 2 years younger than me. And on Facebook, there was this lady, and she had the last name as mine, so I made friends with her. Her name's Roseanne McConahay.
Uh-huh.
Come to find out, she's married to my brother.
How about that?
And 5 years ago, we reunited, and she's was from Lima, Peru.
Wow.
So I got inducted into the family. So I'm in a family of Peruvians, and it's like from just being by myself and all that to like 40 to 60 people.
It's incredible. So your brother he married a Peruvian woman.
Uh-huh.
Was your brother's mother Peruvian as well?
I don't know about
that
his
connection is.
mother, but I know she was.
Okay. Wow.
And she had 3 sisters, so there's,
Peruvians are serious about family too.
And it's a very tight family, and boy, they can party.
Yeah, yes, they can.
They do like house parties. I go over to visit, and like you go to a party, you leave there maybe 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Holy moly.
And that's fun. And the mother, and that's the thing that I find really special is the mother is the nucleus of the family.
100%.
And it should be.
This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting. 863-385-5020. Top 5 artists or bands.
Oh my. It would probably change weekly, but...
Yeah, me too.
Paul McCartney, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Aerosmith. Pink Floyd. Boy, you're giving me one I really have to think on because it changes all the time.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
You ask me tomorrow, I'm going to give you a different artist.
I'm asking you tonight, so it can change tomorrow.
And I've always been a big Alan Parsons, so.
Yeah. All right. Very good choices. All right. Top 5 albums.
The Wall. Venus and Mars from Wings.
Oh, yeah.
Hotel California.
Yeah.
Boy, there's just so many good ones.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Heart was really good.
Yeah.
And REO Speedwagon.
All right.
High Infidelity.
High Infidelity. Yeah, good choices. Good choices. A bottle washes up on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And you pull it out and you pop the cork and a genie pops out of the bottle. It's going to grant you one wish, one musical wish. It can be anything you want. Name it. What's your one musical wish?
Well, musical wish. I wish I could sing so I could be on stage, but
You do. You're the karaoke king.
well, I don't. I mean, I actually won one karaoke contest, which surprised me. I did Devo's Whip It and I actually won, which I thought was kind of weird. But, and I can do a few songs, but I don't hold a candle to you. I don't.
Well, I've just done it a long time. That's all. That's all it is. It's repetition. I've done it so many times that I've learned how to get by.
But I'd love to have that gift, that just to be able to go on stage and affect people with what I say and sing and stuff, and that's the power, that I would like to have because it helps make a better world.
Well, I'm going to give you a news flash here. You have that power. You use it every day, and I know that because I've been the recipient of that power more times than you know. There's been times, you don't even realize this, where I may have not been in the best mood, or I may have been down for whatever reason or another. And all it took was just a couple of minutes with you, just a few sentences, and I'm right back on top again. And you have that effect on people. So you do have that gift, sir. You do.
Thank you. I hope anyhow. I try to make things better wherever I go and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there any stories you wanted to tell along with it?
Well, basically, it just like I got a picture here from like this is from high school. This is my Captain Blue Streak thing. Somebody took that and gave it to me. There is another high school story that it's kind of unusual. I was friends with this guy named Don McClure.
Yes.
And we got to be real close and everything. And he invited me over his house to, for like a meal or so. He made me this hamburger. And I was wondering why he didn't have one, but I ate it, and that was okay and stuff. And then in my annual in there, it says, your friend and dog food buddy. Yep.
He fed you a dog food hamburger.
He cooked it up. You couldn't tell.
And you remained friends after that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you didn't know until he signed it in the.
It's actually I got it.
That's actually a great prank.
It is, and there's one other one, but there was a speculation. I want to clear the air because for years and years and years, everybody thought it was me. You ever heard of the song "The Streak" by Ray Stevens?
Yes, and I think I know where you're going. Continue, please.
Okay. Well, they spotted this guy that was running around the football field with no clothes on, and everybody assumed it was me. I just never admitted that it wasn't.
Do you know who it was?
I have no idea, but the guy that done it, that was him. Yeah, he done it. Boy.
I can't speak to the football field incident, but I know that there were streakers at Harder Hall, and I do know those streakers, but I've been sworn to secrecy. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Boy, the stories are starting to pop in now.
Go.
Okay, this is after high school.
Yep.
There was an event that they had women mud wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a novelty. Sure. they had pro football. I mean, not pro wrestling at the high school.
Oh yeah.
But they had women mud wrestling, and I just wanted to kind of check it out and stuff. And one of the guys that was running it was Robert Gilbert.
Yes, bodybuilder,
good buddy of mine. He won Mr. Florida 3 times in a row and all that stuff. Me and him been best friends forever.
Sebring racquetball,
right. and I knew his sister Terry and all that. Right. But anyhow, he comes up to me and says, I hope you don't mind, but I wrote your name down to wrestle next and stuff. And when he done that, the second he turned, I got out of that building quicker than sin. And to this day, when we talk about it, we just break up. I mean, I was running like the streak.
Oh, man, that's funny. Holy cow. You talk about wrestling and memories, and Coach Tavernier used to bring them in too, and Dusty Rhodes, Killer Carl Cox, yes. Andre the Giant, icons. Yes. And I believe one time Gordon Soley even
I saw
came
Gordon
down
Soley. I walked by him. He was a short little thing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. That was a Saturday morning ritual, pro wrestling from Florida, from the Armory in Tampa with Gordon Soley. Fantastic memories. And right after that, Creature Feature with Dr. Paul Bearer.
The third.
Yeah, that's right.
Second or third or something like that.
Yeah.
Feature.
That's
anyhow.
Right.
I remember wrestling too, is I met this girl and I really, my heart went out to her. She had, first degree burns all over her body and stuff because she got in a house fire. Mm-hmm. And her father was the original assassin.
Really?
And we talked and, I always thought, wrestling was fake, And she said, no, it's real. does happen. It's, these guys, go out there and they give it their all.
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean, I felt for her, of course.
Of course.
And firsthand, I mean, that's the daughter of a famous wrestler.
Yeah, that's very cool. Small world. You've
is.
met some awesome people.
I've met a lot of people over the years, and it's, to me, sometimes I don't get the details in right, but it's a good memory, and that's, it's nothing special, but it was just a good memory.
That's right. That's special enough, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good memories are treasures.
And I just was lucky enough to get the autograph, get the picture, get the set list, whatever.
Yeah, you've got tangible evidence of your memories.
I do.
It's very cool. Yeah, I think it's awesome what you've done with your love of music and how you've transformed that into something real, something that other people can look at and say, wow, 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 wow.
And here's another thing I've been doing recently, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but I've been getting sort of pulled into the local music scene, the up and comers.
Yeah.
There's this young lady named Bella, and there's this guy, and they like me to film them doing their songs and stuff, and they like what I do, and I've been putting it on my channel, and it's helping them. It's getting them noticed.
That's right. Yeah, you've helped a lot of people over the years. Myself, like I said, myself included, my band included. So you're an important part of the musical community down here, and we're grateful to you for it.
I like giving back, and that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. That, sir, is a great note to end on. Eddie, I appreciate you more than you know.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Pleasure's all mine. Hey, that was fun.
It was real fun.
The Havery Show has been brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.